Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is Friday, May 2nd. This is the last day of the gathering. My wife and I did the last sitting last night at 9 o'clock. Another tremendous sitting. It's the end of the gathering, sadly. This is maybe the first, I don't want to say real gathering, but I feel now kind of like I've wanted to feel after these Gratefullness meditation gatherings now for a couple of years, and how I wanted to feel with what they were doing with Heartfulness with Daji. And so, I went to a couple of gatherings in India that were before we left. Babuji, the Charji birthday, which was just, Charji's first birthday gathering after he died. And that was tremendous, but there was a lot of stress involved, with my kids and things. And but it was the energy was there, but I didn't get a chance to relax into it like I would have liked, but it was a real gathering. And then there was Daji's birthday gathering where we got kicked out. And, that was a mess coming back. I felt worse than when we left, that kind of thing. And then there was the last gathering we attended before we left India, which was it was good. I don't think it was anywhere close to the way I feel now. And some of the things that were happening for that gathering was the one with, it was Babuji's birthday in 2016. Kids and I were going back to America, and I had just gone to an epic cleaning. So this is very similar to that. Like I had, with the thoughtlessness stuff that I was doing, it was just like a better way to put it was my consciousness changed and my ability to meditate got better. Like I'm able to shift it to a deeper level of meditation before the gathering. And so that, was enhanced my ability to give sittings and my ability to meditate. And just also go back into like a meditative state in the middle of the day or whatever, like check back in and recharge and meditate, where I, in a few minutes, what I used to feel like at the end of an hour. So my first 2 years of meditation, I meditated an hour every morning. It was a routine, disciplined routine. I was able to do the meditation the way they prescribed it. And I read books and wrote in my diary. It was a whole thing. And after, I would read some of the literature and, I would write in my diary. And after all that, sometimes the meditations would be really restless. And, it seems like they take forever. But at the very end, it would be like transmission and like kind of a good spiritual condition. And, I'm getting that now just as soon as I close my eyes. So I don't have to meditate as long, and I get into a deeper condition. That was something that Babuji used to be able to do. I'm not comparing myself to him, obviously, but just, where that transformation has happened. And so, with all that, the sitting last night, I still was a little bit physically restless, which is weird. Like I was moving around, squirming, but I was very calm internally and felt bliss, and maybe it was just the intensity of the energy was like, it can affect your body in a certain way. Like it's like almost too much energy or whatever. It's like just, or too much power or whatever again, this is not a power system, but, whatever was happening to me was, making my body, like I couldn't sit still. But I wasn't like, I was moving involuntarily almost as kind of, it was not affecting my meditation. Like and so there was that. And the afterwards, like I was watching TV and I just like was not focused on what I was doing. My mind was, I was just, this is like to me when a gathering where you just want to stare at the wall and not think about anything. You're completely internalized and you don't want to deal with any stuff right from the world. And that's how I felt. And so, and then how I felt this morning, great meditation this morning again. And just this sense I didn't want this period of time to end because, there's a deep level of, it's being at an ashram is like, it's even more so because the whole area is saturated. But I kind of felt that here, just like the whole area was saturated with the energy and just, so I feel, transformed. I feel like I've taken another step in my spiritual journey. I feel like, my capacity to meditate and do these other things, it's gotten enhanced. Like there's just, a just wonderful gathering on every level. There's not really all that much more to say about it because everything happens on a spiritual level. But this is probably, this is by far the best experience I've had since returning to America. In terms of a multi, in terms of these gatherings and the meditations, these are the best. It's the best one, and I'm a lot more confident in the, what to do. This is me not doing preceptor stuff, just being an abhyasi and meditating, and that it'll come anyway. The energy is not. There doesn't need to be a human, whatever's. We're getting it directly from the source, which of course all sittings are like that anyway, but the preceptor acts like a, antenna, which, and then also not having a living master. So I'm very happy with the gathering, and I feel like the next one with Charji is going to, in July is going to be epic as well. I thought the one with Babuji this year, I think it stood out also. Not like this though. So yeah, it was, transformational, and I think, things are heading towards the, the ultimate plan, of all the stuff that Babuji prophesized, in terms of the world changes, and, this is all part of that as well. We'll see, we got about 6 months left before the first big thing's going to happen. And it seems like everything's building towards some, undesirable, worldwide changes, desirable on a spiritual level. But, the fact that the sittings, and I would be interested, I haven't read the comments yet, what other people experience, but for me it was just, top marks, top notch. Just like, I could even, it's hard for me to even stay, like I'm all drifting away just talking about it. I don't really want to, I don't want to leave the condition. And so it's again, I've talked about this, but I haven't experienced it, in some years. And, it's just like the energy in the sitting and all of it. There was just anticipation too of like, I get to meditate. Like, meditation could be like, I have to meditate, or how I get to meditate. It's like anything else, but that was the whole thing. So I'll this is going to be a part of the Journey series, and I might come back and talk about this, like if I feel the condition like the same, like if it's still lingering next week. You go back to your life, and then you got to deal with mundane bullshit, and then you slowly get pulled out of the condition. But and it's also the after effects. Like maybe people didn't experience what I'm talking about in terms of your personal experience with the gathering, but it's also how you feel afterwards. Like the sittings are really to be judged by how you feel afterwards, like the day after, or your next meditation, or whatever it is. It can also be a time release type situation where things are ingested into your spiritual system, and then it takes some time for it to develop. But I'm happy about it. It's like since the beginning of the whole thing, where I had that realization at Apocalaughs' birthday 2 years ago, 2023. I think it's 2023. And I was like, this is over. My thing with heartfulness was over. And then finally now the gatherings, and everything are starting to catch up. I mean, there was immediate, like, that was the first time I felt really a deep transmission from, the dodgy era, after I returned to America. And so, so good news. So let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. It's paramount, definitely important for the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.